Hi guys. Hello Nick and David. I'm in Arizona. This is why this place is not my house. So we're just gonna wait for people to show up, because that's the polite thing to do. I hope we'll have lots of fun. Yeah, this isn't my place. This is Chris's place. Over there, where you can't see him. And stuff. This will be fun. Yeah, alright. I'm just gonna wait. This is the part where we wait. People will eventually realize that I've linked things. This is an iMac. I was like, whoa, the monitor's also the computer. That's crazy. Hi, Angus. Right. But no, it's cool, because it's a computer and a monitor. But I don't think that I really want an Apple computer, because I don't know, I like Windows. It has more options, not just with programs. Oh, more people. Hi, Sean. I think you're usually here, aren't you? That's right. I'm just rambling while people show up. Which is, well, then again, rambling is the whole show anyway. So I'll do this a lot. Jazz hands. How is everybody today? Yeah. Or maybe you're just on Twitter a lot. I recognize your name. I see you. And if you have glasses. Boom. Yep. Okay. Just waiting a little bit. Maybe I mean, I'm already talking, but 12:05. Whatever. Who cares? People can just walk in. Whatever. Okay. So, I'm in Arizona. I think you guys, if you've seen my video where I almost died, I wanted to clarify something, that the drive, while sometimes it was so rainy you couldn't see, when that was happening, we were driving very, very, very slowly, like 5 miles an hour. So it's not like we were driving 80 miles per hour while it was raining. Oh, I forgot I should read those things out loud. Anyway, first I'm going to tell my story. Okay. So the road was a little wet, but it wasn't enough wet to actually make you skid. The thing that made us spin out was that the tire had been having problems. I think it needs to be aligned again, but the tire blew out, so that's what made us spin. And I just mentioned the rain-soaked roads part because that makes you spin more when you're already spinning, but it wasn't enough to make us like fly around. That wasn't the problem. Because there's a lot of comments that are like, oh my god, what an incompetent person, drive 8 miles an hour in the rain, I would kill you if I was your father. Like, no, that's not what happened. Yeah. That was a story. I don't know, yeah. Alright, things that people were saying. Sean says, I'm good, I have a girlfriend now. We've been dating for like 3 or 4 months, but we're exclusive since Friday. Aren't you glad that the whole world is going to know that now? That's pretty great. Everyone can congratulate you. But that's cool. Why don't you tell us all about her? What is she like? Is she fancy? Worth showing off, though. Indeed. A journalist. That's cool. What kind of journalism does she do? What kind of things does she write about? Sure, she works for education desk at a national newspaper. That's pretty fancy. Go her. Claps for her name. Insert name here. But yep. Clap, yeah. I would say snaps, but I actually can't snap. Fun fact, my New Year's resolution for 2011 was to be able to snap in both hands, and I succeeded, and then I forgot how afterwards. Yep. Oh wait, that might have been 2010. It's 2011. I'm pretty sure that I was not in a very good state of mind, and I was like, my New Year's resolution is to have a New Year's resolution. Boom, done. That's how that went. Things. Right. But she thinks she's too formal, so I'll call her Becca. So that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, Becca's fine. It's an interesting name, I guess. It's adequate. It works. Indeed. Okay, so I don't know if you guys want a tour of this place. It's not very big, and I can't really walk around with a laptop, but I can. Oh, but look, I brought my mochis. Did I ever show you guys this? These are little plushies that I made. That guy looks way more fancy than he actually does in person. That's yeah, the FPS is. They're like, can you guys see this? My connection is awful. The frames per second is way better than last time. Yeah, because I'm not on my laptop, I'm on the iMac. And this is this guy.
Maybe because you never used it before.
See, the thing is,
there's nothing new on mine. I've had that but I didn't really like any of the. Well, I like minions.
I'm supposed to have it so everybody gets
that you can use as like.
I had to redo my settings. Mute. Everyone should be on mute. There you go. Sorry, I forgot to do the setting. Okay. Right, so this one looks like this, right? And I thought that if I had her eyes wider apart, it would look cute, right? So I did this one with eyes apart. Then I realized I wanted to give him cool stuff, but now it looks weird because it's all in one line. So it's like I wish that his eyes were this far apart and that her eyes were this far apart. This hat looks like it's fancy, but in person it looks like a homeless person's hat. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't know how, I don't know. Alright. He's cute. Took a long time to get his mustache right. Right, people are saying things. Yes, he does have a top hat. He does, as I said. Then this is some high quality fancy mochis. There's actually, yes, I can't remember the pleb. Pleb. That reminds me of what is it, like a phlebotomist takes blood or something? Is that what that's called? A phlebotomist? I don't know what pleb is otherwise, but I'm pretty sure he's not a phlebotomist. I don't even know if that's the way, if that's the word for it's like a plebologist. Somebody Google this. Phlebotomist. Yeah, there you go. Boom. Yep. I don't. So his name is Sir Mochi, but this one doesn't have a name, and I don't want to call her Lady Mochi because they're not married. They're just friends. Because you can have friends of different genders without romantic tension. And yes, thank you, Angus, for revealing that it was a phlebotomist. That was very fancy of you. Claps for Angus. Yep. Okay, so somebody asked questions. Doll Mochi and Sir Mochi. Yeah. Right. So, ask questions, because that makes my job easier. Yeah, that makes my job easier. That's the only reason. If I sat here long enough, I could probably think of more things to talk about, like my old roommate before this roommate. See, it's working. She had really bad social anxiety, so when we would have to go to a store or something, she'd often wait in the car with music. And I would just keep talking about whatever I was talking about, and I'd be getting out of the car, and I'd still be talking, and she wouldn't be saying anything, but she'd be kind of nodding, and then she'd go, if I keep looking at you, will you keep talking? And I'd be like, yes. Is it really hot here? Yeah. It's really hot here. It's like 106 degrees Fahrenheit. Not Celsius, otherwise I'd be dead. But that's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure back where I live in California, it's like, it sometimes still hits the 90s during the peak heat, but the nights are getting colder according to the internet. So, do you guys ever still meet people who act like information on the internet is automatically invalid? Like, my dad used to do that. I'd be like, hey, here's a thing that I read. And he'd be like, well, anyone can write anything on the internet. And I'd be like, anybody can write a book. It doesn't make facts. Yep. My dad had a really weird thing where he'd like, well, he was an asshole, but he would do this thing where if my friends ever said anything, and I would like tell him what they said, he'd always be like, well, yeah, that's what they said. And I'm just like, what would my friend have gained from telling me that she had horrible asthma? Like, I had this friend who had really bad asthma to the point where she should not have children because the people who had that severe of asthma hadn't really lived past their early 30s, and the one who reached the oldest was like 31, but she died in childbirth. And so I remember she was just telling me about this, and I was like, Dad, here's the thing. And he's like, yeah, that's what she said. And I'm just like, what could she possibly gain from this? How would this benefit her in any way? Besides maybe, like, sympathy, but then, like, I don't understand. Why would she make this up? What would be the benefit of this? I don't understand. I have no idea. But yeah, that was a story about things. Okay. Right. I'm waiting for something else to start. Yeah, alright, people send things. That makes it easy. Hey, Dad, I met Grandma just now. She sends her cards. Well, that's what she said. It's like, Mom said she wants you to take out the trash. Yeah, that's what she said. Sometimes, even though, again, my dad is a horrible person, but sometimes I just want, like, gifs of things that he said because it would be really funny to me. Like, partisan future plots take over the world. Yep. Asthma that bad. She only has so much time. She needs to start her world domination now, and she's got me fooled right now. She's really like a super-powered, like, super breather, and she's trying to get me off my, make me off my guard, and then she can take over an ASMR channel that didn't exist when I knew her. Something to that effect. Right. Another thing, asthma plus world domination equals question mark profit. Right. So, right. Okay, so now when you're like 19 and you kind of just want to get pissed off for no reason, you're like, I want to get mad. And so what I would do is I would go to the living room to bug my dad, and I'd be like, Dad, what is your opinion on insert controversial topic here? And he would just come out with like the most insane bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Like, it'd be all that really ignorant bullshit, but plus stuff that he's like pulling out of his ass. So it's like extra shitty bullshit with extra shit. And I would just look at him like this. Mm-hmm. Right? And I'd be like, what's your source on that? Like, where did you hear that? Could you link me? Because I'd really be interested in reading about that. And then he would get so angry at me smirking and asking him for sources that finally he just exploded, and he was just like, you put too much faith in the internet and sources! I'm like, yep, that's me, not taking things, at face value and wanting proof. Just like, it's like, you say something that makes no sense. And I go, well, that's what you said. I don't know. A lot of holes in his logic, I think. Citation needed, yeah. Citation needed. I don't know. Like, I wonder if he did give me a source to be like, well, once I heard something on Fox News, and I'd be like, well, yeah, that's what they said. And he's like, not just anyone can be on the television. Anyone can read something on the internet. Okay, that's how things work. Oh no, armpit hair, everyone's gonna freak out. Ah! Right. What do you think about the whole depression quest thing? Depression quest. What is that? I would say I don't have an opinion because I don't know what it is. Internet ruins our chance to lie and seem cool. Damn you, Google. Yeah. Or it's like whenever you tell a funny joke and people go like, that's funny, and it's like, yeah, I read it on Tumblr. I like how there's one person with their video on, so I can see him laughing, and I can feel validated that I'm funny. So thank you, Nick. You make me feel funny. Thank you. People aren't typing things, or I can't tell because it doesn't tell me. Can you imagine if there's like 100 people here and they're all typing and the whole list would just be people typing? That's probably why they don't tell you if people are typing. Probably. Do you guys want to see a really cool hat that I bought yesterday or the day before? It's a really cool hat. Oh, looks. Yeah, people someday I want to see you other people. See you other people. Oh, hey, Alec, you're here. Doing funny, you're coming into the conversation halfway through. What was I talking about when you walked in? No, you know what's fun is like, it's not like I'm obsessed with people, what they think about me, like in a bad way when I'm out in public, but it's like I want to be interesting, and I really enjoy it when I'm having a really like interesting conversation, which usually means something weird, I guess. I like walking past people and having like a phrase hit them as they walk past, and I'm just like, I hope that they found that funny, and they walked away and was like, well, that conversation sounds fun. These are things that I think about. Someone linked me something. Click. Oh God, no! Just kidding. It's Tumblr. Right. Right. I don't know if I want to read all that right now, but let's see if I can write. Okay, I'll read that later. But game tool for teaching people what depression is like. The creator kept being attacked by people for releasing it. You know, there's a pattern with that in the world. People are like, hey, let's lessen the suffering of others and spread information that will be helpful for a better world. And people are like, that's terrible. I'm going to assassinate you. That sounds like a better plan. But that's terrible. I don't know. Things and stuff. Right. You know, speaking of depression and things, like, I feel like there was like a person in the comment section yesterday that wasn't like they were hating or like they weren't like, I don't think they realized that they were, I think they just didn't understand a few things. They're talking about how they think that a lot of people with mental illness just use it for sympathy or something. And I was just like, or that they don't actually need the medication. And while there is a kind of problem in our society right now where they do overprescribe antidepressants and like psych meds, especially to children, and while I do admit that, but at the same time, I don't think that it's fair to kind of assume somebody doesn't need the medication that they're on, because you don't see every second of their day, and you don't know that maybe the reason why they look like they're feeling better is because of the medication. And I also don't understand the problem with like the whole trying to get sympathy thing. Like, first off, I don't think that I know anybody who's just like, wow, my mental illness sure is a benefit. People on the internet might feel sorry for me. That's cool. That makes it all worth it. Like, first off, I don't know anybody who would do that. Second off, I don't see the problem with needing, like, sympathy or attention. Like, children need love and attention. It's not like that just goes away. Like, there's a reason why being isolated from people makes people really depressed. Like, we're social creatures. Even, like, introverts, it's not, they just, I mean, as far as I know about introverts, I'm not an introvert, but things that I've heard and stuff is that big crowds, not really their thing, but they still need, like, regular, intimate connections with people. Like, I've been roommates. My roommate before this one, again, she was, like, really introverted and, like, social anxiety, and so, but even though she didn't like being around a whole bunch of people, she still needed that interaction and, like, a human contact kind of thing. And I don't know, obviously there are really negative ways of trying to get attention, but I don't think that inherently needing attention is a bad thing. And I feel like it's one of those things that people just throw around where they're just like, oh, she just wants attention, as if, I don't know, it just feels like I disagree with whatever she's doing, because whatever, so I'm just going to say it's, I don't understand the logic behind it, that people are just doing things for attention. I feel like it's just people don't understand what they're trying to do, and so they just throw that out there. No, you know what's weird, though, related to insults that don't really make sense, is when, like, if you just happen to be intelligent, I guess, and you're just having a conversation about whatever, and you just happen to speak about facts about things, and people go like, well, it's like, you just think you know everything, and I'm like, not really. I'm pretty sure that I don't know everything. I feel like I don't it's like, thank you? You think that I don't know. I don't understand how it's an insult, and also it doesn't make any sense. It's like, here's the thing that I learned once, and like, well, you think you know everything, and I'm like, no. I'm pretty aware that I don't know a lot of things. Like, I'm pretty sure that I probably couldn't do calculus right now. I mean, I went to pre-calculus in high school, but it was hard. It was my least favorite class. But I guess I was kind of good at it, but other people were better at it than me. But yeah. So I remember this one time when I was a kid, and I was arguing with my cousin. Oh wait, hold on, people are saying things, and I'm not reading them. Alright, Angus says, that's what is funny about Asperger's/high-functioning autism. Sometimes I can go for days without even wanting to talk to anyone. It's really strange. On the contrary, sometimes all I want is company. It's strange. And then Sean says, ASMR must be a godsend for something like that. Then Angus, the videos are a good middle ground, I mean. And then Angus says, definitely, Sean. Yeah, yeah. Oh no, they misspelled his name, sorry. But yeah, I don't personally know what it's like. I think that growing up, when I was a kid, I could just play by myself, like with imagination and stuff. Like I could just tell I have an adventure, and then all the other characters would be like imaginary, and I'll just like speak for them, and then I could just have a whole thing by myself. Or I could play with dolls. I actually played with dolls until I was 16, and then I felt embarrassed because I was in high school, and so I stopped playing with them. And it was at that time that suddenly I was constantly starved for attention because I no longer felt comfortable having, all my playtime by myself. And so it's like I would get stuck in these horrible, like irritable moods where like all I wanted to do was spend time with someone. I just wanted to like have a friend over or something, but I didn't have like any close friends, even if there were some people I could talk to at school. So it's like I would just get okay. Now I'm not muted. There you go. I don't know. I might have accidentally clicked something because I was touching the mouse. Oops, sorry. Right, you can hear me now. Cool. I don't know. It might have been. Yeah. Okay. Um, I. Oh, somebody muted me. Well, that's rude. Thanks, George. Ruining it for everyone. No. Okay. Oh no. Okay. Well, right. What was the last thing you guys heard? Oh, George, it's okay. It's okay. What was I? What's left? High school stopping with the dolls, right? That sounds a lot cooler than it was. Right, okay, so after, right. So I was at that point where, because I no longer felt comfortable playing by myself, I started to get like a lot of, I'd get in these moods where I'd be really irritable, and all I wanted to do was hang out with people. Um, like, that's all I wanted to do. And my dad would get mad at me because I'd be, like, starved for attention, that he'd be like, oh my god, just enjoy your alone time, grow up, or whatever. But, I don't know, I would just get stuck that all I wanted to do was spend time with people, and I couldn't, nothing else was good enough. Like, I mean, I could still deal with it for the most part, but then every few days I would just get stuck and, like, go through a list of, like, 20 people trying to call them to make plans. So I got to the person, like, on the very bottom of the list that I didn't really like that much, but the answer would be like, come hang out. And then I would, and we wouldn't click because we had nothing in common. I'd be like, oh, I want to go home. And Dad would be like, you say you want to be friends, and then you come home early. And I'm like, eh. But, yeah. Oh, okay. You need to have someone to speak with. Yeah. It's okay, George, we're not mad. It's more funny than anything. Well, that's what he said, yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, I've gotten better at it over time, though. So, like, I can even enjoy alone time. Like, I can play video games, or I can be doing Tumblr or something. I can talk to people just in text, which I don't know if that counts as alone time, but it helps. But if I've been alone, like with no real human contact for like a week straight, understandably I get like really lonely, and that is no win. Right. I was going to tell a story though, back to the whole "you think you know everything" thing. When I was a kid, I was having an argument with my cousin about the movie Titanic because he was convinced that it was like an actual filming of the actual tragedy, and I was like, no. I was like, while the Titanic did actually sink, that was not a filming of it. I was like, why would they just let people die while filming it? Like, how could they have gotten these shots? They don't care that they're, like, having sex in a car and there's, like, a camera right here and they're like, hello, we're documenting this. Like, I don't know, I was just like, no, the Titanic was a thing that sank, but this is a movie. This was not what happened. This is not the filming of the actual thing. And he kept arguing with me. And then his mom, my aunt, like, got a ball in my face and she was like, newsflash, you don't know everything! And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know this one thing, though. Like, I know that I'm, like, 7, but I'm pretty sure I know what a movie is compared to a documentary. Just saying. I don't know. Hey, it's for science, Jack. Keep having sex. They're like, shh, 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 shh. They're like, we know you're dying, but we're going to film you dying. That's cool, right? We're not going to help. We're the kind of journalists that just film, don't touch. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what was my aunt on my cousin's side like, no, child, you don't understand. This was the actual filming of the tragedy. How could they have known this would happen? What about the foreshadowing in the movie about, like, them, exactly, the Titanic sunk in the 1910s. They must have had HD cameras. Brave cameraman, you stayed on till the end. What really happened is at the beginning of the movie, they found the footage in that safe, you know, and it's all covered in, like, wet dirt, mud, sure, that's, but, yeah, they found the film, and they're like, oh. No, you know what's messed up about that movie is that at the end, you know, she dies and she goes back to Jack, and, like, apparently everyone's OTP because they're all clapping, and, like, first off, I'm just imagining them waiting there in the afterlife, like, any minute now. They're like, I have to pee, and they're like, no, we have to wait here until Rose dies, even though most of us didn't even know who she was. But no, what's really messed up is that, she goes back to 17-year-old self with Jack, and, you know, she had a husband and children. Like, she was an old lady with husband and children, and in the end she's like, fuck y'all, I'm going back to my Jack, that piece of ass, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio. Shh. But, like, he's just like, fuck my children, fuck my husband, I'm going back to that one time that I had met someone for a week. Like, I don't... Yeah, documented people in heaven. Yeah, I don't think people need to be in heaven. You don't know. Have you ever been to heaven? Do you know? Huh? No, what's funny, though, is my sister's name is Heaven, and so sometimes I just replace her name in my head. So it's like, I don't think people need to pee in heaven. And I'm like, that's I can agree with that point. They don't need to. Yeah, the Titanic is just a pit stop till the real afterlife. Yeah, I don't know. Funny, though, that the mother wanted to discredit you rather than tell the truth to your offspring. Wait, I have no idea what you're talking about. That the mother wanted to discredit you. Oh, right. Cousin's mother. Yeah, cousin's mother. There you go. I know what you're talking about now. Okay. Again, person with the video camera validating me with your expressions. But yeah. Things and stuff. I remember, okay, again, with precocious child Becca owning adults with her knowledge. When I was in 4th grade, my teacher's name was Mrs. Dung. Just let that soak in for a second. Her name was Mrs. Dung. She must have really loved her husband to accept that name. Like, she must have been really in love with this guy. Yeah, alright. Anyway, 4th grade, spelling test. It was the whole I before E, except after C. But she never taught us the second part, which is unless it says A as in neighbor and way. So all of these words did have I before E, right, except after C. And then she added a word that we didn't have on our spelling list, but it was there for whatever. And it was the word freight. And I spelled it correctly, which is F-R-E-I-G-H-T. But she marked me wrong. And I was like, whoa, teacher. And then everyone who spelled it wrong got it right, where they spelled it F-R-I-E-G-H-T. And I was like, teacher, I got 90% because I missed one. But no, I spelled this correctly. I know because I just learned that word when I was reading this book. And she was like, it could have been misspelled in the book. I stand by my choice. And I like whip out this dictionary on her desk and I'm like, let me just tell you a thing, woman. I show her in the dictionary that I spelled it correctly, and she was just like all irritated and all upset. And she's like, "Fine, I'll change your grade." And I was like, "No, you need to tell everyone that they spelled it wrong. Not because it's not because people always feel like, oh, it's not enough for me to succeed. Everyone else must fail. That's not where it came from. It was that you are teaching these children how to spell the word wrong. You should correct yourself so that they know how to spell the word instead of going on through their life thinking that's how you spell that word." That's where I was coming from. Like, the way I was in school is that even if people were mean to me, if they needed help, I was willing to offer help. Like, if there was a test coming up and we were all studying in class and people didn't understand it, I'd be like, I can try to explain this to you as best as I can so you can learn. But they would always not want that help. But then when the test came, if the teacher left the room, they'd be like, "Becca, you need to give us the answer." And I'm like, "I don't actually. I really don't." It's like, I offered to help you study. And then they get mad at me, like it was my fault that they're failing the test. I'm just like, no, actually you're doing. You chose to joke around and listen to music on your big-ass headphones around your neck with lots of volume instead of study. I offered to help you study even though you're an asshole to me. You're not going to blame me for not doing well on your test. Not my fault. But yeah. Yeah. Someone's like, "Oh god." From a side-to-side video. Yeah. Dang, that's right. I don't know what that means. Literate galoshes. Yeah, go 4th grade. Yeah. That's me. I remember I was kind of a little shit though. I was a little bit stuck up, but I think that was because I think it was because I did get teased, and to kind of like try to make myself feel better about it, I'd be like, "But I'm better than those people because they spelled freight wrong." But yeah, I'm not an asshole anymore. What if they had used that word as a bomb, diffusing password, but learned it wrong? Boom. As not as, yeah. Right. Then they would fail. And apparently the bomb is big enough to explode the whole world, so everyone would die. Right. I was saying words. Things. I was kind of a little shit, though, as I said. I remember I was writing invitations to my birthday when I was in kindergarten. And I remember I was writing out the name Ian, and I felt like, oh yeah, this is a hard name to spell. I was like, I'm going to ask my mom how to spell it. She won't know how to spell Ian. And I was like, "Hey, Mom, how do you spell Ian?" She goes, I-A-N. I was like, "Ah, foiled this time." So yeah, I was kind of a little shit. No, what I remember was stupid is I invited every single person in my class to my birthday, my kindergarten year, including my crush Trevor. Ugh. Except for the girls who were mean to me. And then my mom said I should invite Ian, because even though I didn't want to, because I thought Ian was weird, coming from me. So I invited Ian, hoping he wouldn't come. Ian was the only person who showed up, so woo! Thanks, Ian. But I didn't like him, right? So he spent the entire time alone in the ball pit while I cried. I was such an asshole. Oh my god. The only people who came besides him were the Duran twins, who were my friends growing up. We didn't go to the same school or really hang out, but they were like my dad's boss's daughters. But they would always show up to my birthdays. But that wasn't the same. I invited the whole class. Trevor didn't come. I remember like when you'd have to put your book back, you were supposed to put it back in order, but I would put my book back next to Trevor's on the stack because I thought Trevor was so cute. Poor weird Ian. Poor Ian. Oh god. It's like, yeah, Mom, spell Ian now. Hell yeah. But yeah, so that was sad. That happened to me. No, that's not the only cliche thing that's happened to me. When I was in 7th grade, I made friends with this girl on the first day, and her name was Passionate, which is an interesting name. Makes me think of juice. But, right. So we were friends, and we haven't had like little best friend necklaces and stuff like that. And then, no joke, she became a cheerleader, and then she became my bully because she became a cheerleader. That like actually happened to me. Well, her name is spelled P-A-S-S-I-O-N-A-E, Passionate. But yeah, yeah, that happened to me. My best friend turned into a cheerleader and then became my bully. It's like, Lizzie McGuire, whoa. Anyway, yeah, that happened to me. Yeah, that happened. Oh, no, I have another great story about something cliche, but something that is hilarious in hindsight. Right. So when I was in my senior year, like I'd never really had a boyfriend before. Like I'd had like like for an hour, and I was like, wait, I don't like you, get away from me, Or I'd be like, for an hour, or like 2 days, or something, right, though. So I mean, it was never that serious. I had been dating this guy for 2 days, and my mom sits down, she's like, well, now that you have a serious boyfriend, we need to talk about some things right here. To be clear, my sister had gotten pregnant her senior year, so maybe they were trying to extra hard. That's kind of how it was. They'd be really lenient on her. She could literally, like, torture me all day. And they'd be like, well, we can't do anything if we're not. It's like, you could be a parent, but that's just a suggestion from someone who's never been a parent, but whatever. Stuff. But if I ever reacted, I would get in trouble, which just doesn't make any sense. It's just like, well, it's not at all like this, but this is a horrible comparison. I'm a terrible person. But it's like, Israel bombs the shit out of the Palestinians, and then they send back one bomb. They're like, oh my god, you're in trouble, you're grounded, how dare you? So, not the same, but the framework is the same. If my life was actually that important. Sorry. Whatever. Right. Okay, I'm an aunt now. Yeah, I've been an aunt since high school. My nephew's the greatest kid ever. My sister is not the greatest parent ever. Stuff. Yeah, you're like, oh, heaven. Heaven is my sister's name. So yes, Auntie Galoshes. Yeah, I've been an aunt since 2007. So, right. But when I was in my senior year in high school, again, dating this guy for 2 days, so they're like, all right, now that you have a serious boyfriend, we need to have a talk about things. If you ever have any thoughts or feelings or dreams, just let me and your father know, and we'll let you know if we think you should get on birth control or not. And I'm like, yep, that's exactly what I'm going to do. If I'm like, you know, Mom, I had an interesting dream once about Sebastian Stan, so I thought I'd let you know in detail. Dad, hi, you're here too. What's up? This is a dream I had. And they'll be like, well, Becca, this is an intense dream about Sebastian Stan. We think that you should get on birth control so you don't get dream pregnant. Like, oh, no, right? And but the way I was in high school is I was just like, no, I'm not doing anything like that because people use people in high school and also morals or something, whatever. And dream pregnancies are worse. It's like every time you fell asleep and you just dreamt where the whole time you're just taking care of like a crying baby that never is quiet. Like, it's just like you go to sleep and you're tired when you wake up. You're like, oh, I spent all night taking care of the baby. And they're like, what are you talking about? You're a 15-year-old boy. But yeah. Right, so, person's name was Ryan, this 2-day boyfriend. Right, so, my mom was driving me to his house. Oh, by the way, my response to the conversation was, I don't think that's necessary, because I'm not just going to change my mind about this because I've been dating a guy for 2 days. But, you know, things. So she's driving me to his house, and instead of just dropping me off, she decides to walk in the house with me. And she all sits Ryan down, and she's like, what are you doing with your life, Ryan? And he was like, I'm going to drop out and go to the National Guard. And she's like, well, that's good that you'll be making money because Becca needs someone who makes money. And, you know, you should stay in high school because a diploma will do a lot for you. And I'm like, oh my god, Mom, what the fuck are you doing? I've been dating this guy for 2 days. Why? So what happened was, it was a Friday, and I checked my MySpace account because my school was still on MySpace when the rest of the world was starting Facebook, because my school really liked the painful glitter backgrounds and the fact that you could have 17 autoplay YouTube videos all at once, and especially the built-in playlist, and then 3 playlist widgets that you open the page and your computer just catches on fire. They really liked the fact that they could put backgrounds on it. Facebook didn't have backgrounds, so they didn't like Facebook. The only reason I had reopened my MySpace account was to talk to Ryan on MySpace. So I checked my MySpace account, and he's like, it's not you, it's me. I just need a break. More cliche words. And I went to, so the thing is, what if I hadn't checked my MySpace? Because the only reason I checked it was to talk to him. What if I was just busy and I showed up to school on Monday and he'd actually have to like say it to my face like a man? You know what I mean? He'd be like, didn't you get my MySpace message? Who do you think you are? But, you know. Anyway, autoplay. MySpace. Mom is the matchmaker. Yep, that's exactly, like, yeah, Mom, thanks. This is definitely the best kind of birth control, is to scare them all away. So, I remember eventually he was just like, I need to be honest with you. I had to break up with you, because your mom was acting like I had to marry you. And I'm like, yep, that's my mother. But you know what's the best thing? Is that I know now. If anyone ever is like, it's not you, it's me, you go, yeah, you're really boring. Yeah, that's what you do. They're like, it's not you, it's me. And you're like, yeah, you suck a lot. That's what you do. After I told my mum about my girlfriend, she told me that God created men over women, so I had to take charge. Make sure I took her to a Protestant church before we went to Mass together at church. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. It's like, the moms. No, you know what's weird to me? Because I was talking about this yesterday. Is the whole idea that you have to, that like with little girls, their parents like won't let them cut their hair, where they'll like their hair will grow like longer and longer, even if they like absolutely hate it. They're like, no, you need to keep your pretty girlish long hair and all this stuff. And it's like, it's not your body. So why does it bother you if they wanted short hair? Like I've known girls like this growing up, where their parents refused to let them cut their hair for whatever reason, and they would literally just hate themselves because they hated how their hair was. Becca's older than me and she makes money than me, so if she wants to wear the pants, I'm fine with it. It's 2014. Yeah, he's talking about other Becca, right? But yeah, stuff. Or like there was this thing on Tumblr where somebody overheard, like in the mall, there was like an ear piercing station booth thing, and there was a mother trying to get her daughter, who was like elementary school or something, to get her ears pierced, and she was like, I don't want my ears pierced, like very clearly. And she was just like, oh, but your little girls in your school have them, and it's so pretty, and you get here, pick out an earring. You'll have a regular one when they get it pierced, but then all this stuff, you know, you'll have fancy things, you know, pick out a pretty earrings. And she was like, I don't want my ears pierced. And she's getting louder because she's like, I don't want my ears pierced. And she's like crying. And the mother's just like, you're embarrassing me. You need to do this. And it's just like, why? And then like after this is going on, she's like like again and again, directly not consenting to this. And then he apparently like the person like watching the situation heard like two screams and then just crying because they pierced their ears anyway. And it's like, that's so messed up. That's like saying, I mean, it doesn't just happen to little girls, but I feel like it's a little bit more disproportionate. But they're like, they just teach their children that their bodies are not their own and that lack of consent just equals force. Like, I don't know, because I do want to like parent children one day, and I really don't want to be how like my parents were, because even if you think that you're going to parent differently, as soon as you're put in a situation where you're in that kind of position, you're going to emulate how you learned that works. It's just how psychology works. You're going to act exactly like your parents, which is why when people also become parents, they're like, oh, I thought I'd always be different than my parents, but then I was exactly like them. It's because you kind of have to work that through before you're a parent. Like, you have to think about it and break through all that, because my parents were really not good examples. I kind of think about it a lot, not like I want kids anytime soon, but just like, I think about it because I think that it's important to think about, because that is something that I want, and I don't think you just start thinking about it 9 months ahead of time, you know what I mean? So, yeah, like, what was I going to say? I was going to say things. Right, okay, the whole thing of, like, teaching children consent from a really young age. Like, there was this article I found that was talking about how, like, let's say a family member comes over, and they're like, oh, hug your grandpa, or whatever, but then the kid, like, kind of freaks out, gets scared, or, like, shy, or starts crying or something, and they act like the kid is rude. Like, they act like the kid is somehow being awful for not hugging someone that they don't want to hug. It's like, and then they don't do it. They're literally forced to, even if they're crying. And it's just like, the kid is saying, I do not feel comfortable with this situation. I do not want to hug this person. And if you force your kid to and make them feel their consent doesn't mean anything. And so it's not just with situations like, you know, something a little bit more innocuous like hugging family members, but it's like at the same time, that escalates not just to not respecting other people as their own self, like, you know, when people say, like, oh, this thing makes me comfortable, and then everyone does it to them all of a sudden as if it's funny, even though, again, it makes them really upset. Like, that's a sign of not respecting consent. So something like that, all the way up to, obviously, more awful things, like assault and stuff. But it's like, you teach your children right away that it doesn't matter. But in the article, they were talking about how they've raised their children, where, for example, like a little girl was coming over, and the little girl who lived there was like hugging her again and again, and the other little girl seemed like really uncomfortable, and she couldn't speak yet, but she just looked really uncomfortable, and her mom pulled her daughter aside, and she was like, hey, honey, I know that you really like your new friend, but you need to make sure that she's enjoying it when you play too, and if she's not, then you need to give her space. And that's just like that's a really good way to teach your children, I think. I mean, I'm not a parent, but I feel like that is good. And the idea of, there was another example where, for example, she was coloring her brother's foot with like a marker, and he pulled away his foot, and she walks over just to see the situation. She goes, don't worry, Mommy, he likes it. He just pulls his foot away because it tickles. And she watches, and, you know, the kid pulls his foot away and laughs, and then, but then he puts it right back, obviously wanting it, the colors on him again. So these are all situations where the older child looks for nonverbal clues because the other children can't talk yet, to make sure that they are consenting to the situation. And it's just like, if 2-year-olds can figure this out, I don't understand the excuse people are just like, well, if you didn't say the words. It's not like, ugh, thanks. Yeah. Right, reading what people said. Oh, reminds me of corsets. Yeah, any sort of thing that just forces women to look a certain way when they don't consent, it's just, I mean, it's true of every gender, but I do feel like it's, in our society, it's heavily biased towards telling women how they should look. Like, oh no, thanks. Right. I hate to be like my parents too, especially my father. Angus, I feel you. Yeah. If I was like my dad, my kids will see me 5 times in their whole life. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't mind ending up like my dad, earning loads of cash and oil and gas and marrying a Dutch lady. Combo breaker. Well, Sean, aren't you fancy with your stuff and your things? And then Alex says, same as FGM, which is female genital mutilation. Horrendous, sadly but true. Social traditions can be just abused by another name. It's true. FGM is a whole other level of terrible, like at 96% in Egypt or something crazy like that. Nobody talks about it unless the maddest thing. Oh, that is good mothering. We get dumber as we get older. I don't know if that's true, that we get dumber as we get older. I don't think that that's true. What exactly are you responding to, though? Things and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, the good mothering thing, that's good. Oh, but I was talking about the person, Nick, who said we get dumber as we get older. I was wondering what he meant by that. I think he's typing them. Things and stuff. Right. We have about 10 minutes left, so that's been fun. Right. Oh, I wait for the person to say the words. I was going to show you my hat. Isn't this a cool hat? It's fancy. So I also got these glasses to go with the hat. Yeah. My lips are really chapped. Baboon. Yep. I like these glasses. I'm actually, it does go nice with what I'm wearing. Oh. Yep. I actually have a sense of style now, so that's cool. I've wanted one of these hats for so long. Oh no, people are gonna freak out again. Oh. Gonna go, guys. Alright, Angus, do you feel better? You can talk to me later. I hope you're okay. I don't know if Nick, if you're still typing, nod on your camera so I can see. Oh, he's gone. Nick C left group chat. Okay. Right, we have 10 minutes left. I'm gonna keep wearing this hat. Okay. Does anybody have any questions as we wrap up, or things that they wanted to talk about? I didn't make a video yesterday, but there were some audio issues that I needed help with, so Alec, also known as C-Fox on this little thing, was helping me with audio, and I didn't really feel like editing because it was late at night by the time I actually remembered to accept the files. So I'm going to edit that today, and early access should be today if I don't be lazy. So yeah, that has, but just so you know, it has left side, right side, top side, front side, ska, and some other little weird sounds. A little bit of affirmations for people who are starting school, things like that. Yep, not real wood. I don't know if this is real wood, but it's a desk. Yeah. Right. 9 minutes left. So any other questions that anybody want to? Oh, Nick is back. He was typing. He's not in the hangout, but he's over there. I don't know. Do you guys want to see his face? I don't know if he feels pretty today. Do you feel pretty today? He's chilling over here. Everyone's gonna get mad in the comments being like, oh my god, there's a person. Hello. Look, hi. He's cute. Look at him. He's cute. He's pretty. Somebody said he's pretty. He's so pretty. Look at you. He's so pretty. Alex says hi.
Hi, everyone.
I picked this shirt out for him. Isn't it fancy? It's fancy. Nice beard, bro. Nice shirt, bro. Everyone's getting all bro now. They're like, that is a lovely garment to have it. Thank you very much. They're like, nice beard, bro. What's up? I do the thing, right, where they do the thing and they're like, oh, that was a double tap.
Yeah.
Nice girlfriend, bro.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so cute. We have 7 minutes left. It'll just be. Alright, get out of here. Okay. That happened. Things. Becca silently. Just 7 minutes of Becca silently. Mostly up to Sarah, just like. Look kind of like a witch now with this hand, like. Can see but not type. That's weird. I'm sorry, Nick. I guess we'll never know what point you were making. We'll never know. And stuff. I clearly still have things to talk about. Eventually something will hit me. If I keep talking, eventually something will... Speaking of the words hit me, see, it happens, boom. Does anyone ever really know what, like, the song Hit Me Baby One More Time, like, what does she mean by hit me? So I remember hearing an interview when I was a kid about how she didn't mean actually, like, hitting, but I don't, I was thinking, is it like blackjack, like, hit me, but, like, hit me up. Maybe it does mean that. Hey, good words. Someone said, which era of history would you want to live in if you had to live sometime between 180 and now? Well, I definitely don't want to go back in time because I feel like my rights would slowly fade away. They would just get lower and lower until I was murdered, I guess, for having boobs. Probably, yeah. So yeah, I don't... Any social station. I guess. I don't know. I don't think that I'd want less medicine and... I mean, where would the Wi-Fi be? Come on. No. I remember there was a post on Tumblr that was just like, I was born in the wrong era. The girl sighed that she longed to live 100 years in the future where maybe all of her rights would be secured. Yeah. So, I don't get it when people are like, oh man, the 50s were so great. Everyone dressed so well and they were so polite. It's like, yeah, except for like the lynching and racism. Like, huge sexism as well. Like, you could just like the dresses. Like, you can like dresses, that's fine, but don't like act like the 50s was some perfect era because the clothes were cool. Like, I mean, I feel like the only people who'd be like, wow, I sure want to live in the 50s are like white people. Pretty sure it's only white people. They all wear plaid shirts, right? Yeah. I feel like going back in time, things would get increasingly smellier as well, especially like in the time where people's religion white people's religion, said that you can't bathe and also throw your waste in the street. That's how they created the plague. Well, they didn't create the plague, but this helped spread the plague because they didn't bathe. You know what's weird is realizing that germ theory is a thing that people had to figure out, like suggested, because a lot of babies would die right away, and they're like, hey, doctors, maybe after you touch sick people, if you don't wash your hands and then you touch a baby, you might kill the baby with germs. And the doctors were really offended, like, how dare you think I'm killing my patients? Yeah, that's pretty much how it went down. They were all offended. So, speaking of interesting things, did you know that okay, so like banana flavored candies and stuff, how it doesn't really taste like bananas? I mean, obviously that's true of lots of candy, but like, that default banana flavor, there used to be a different kind of banana. There was a different species of banana that we had before, but apparently bananas are all very genetically identical to each other. So basically, a banana plague happened. That the thing about having no real adaptations is they all got wiped out. Yeah, there was a banana apocalypse. So they kind of had to find a different banana to make up for the gone bananas. And they still are genetically identical, so they could still get wiped out, but they know, so they can try to prevent it. So the bananas we have now are actually different bananas than we used to have, which would explain the flavor dissonance stuff. Yep. Unfortunate sex life of the banana. So a genetic super banana. Yeah. That's what she said. And grape. Yeah. Grape flavored. You know what's really gross? Grape soda. Grape soda is gross. Which animal would be the best? Cats. Hello. Purring. Duh. Don't you laugh at me. Yeah. You know what's actually interesting about purring is that the frequencies that cats purr at actually increases bone health and bone healing, which explains why cats are so freaking cool, where they can just heal their own bones. But they can use an information either with cats or a thing that emulates the sound frequency to help people heal their bones faster. So I'm just full of facts today. Big cats. Yeah. Purr me to better health. Yeah. Oh, tiger whispering near my ear, sir. I mean, you could just use a normal cat. Yeah. Apparently cats purr while they're dying. That's what I remember reading. That cats purr when they're comfortable and they purr when they're dying. So they're like, oh, my cat's alright. She's purring. She's happy. And then they die. And you're like, oh, oops. That's probably not how it goes. There's probably more tears. Trying to fix them bones. Yeah. It's sad. 12:59 p.m. Only meow to talk to people and other cats. Yeah, there's actually a study of how cat meows have evolved over time, and they actually have evolved to sound very similar to the frequency that babies scream at, so that you are programmed to respond to them. They're just tricksy bastards. I think I'm swearing a lot more in this show, and also I talked about things, adult things, a little bit more. Oops. I can't be tamed. Cat licking my face, sandpaper treatment. My cat actually, okay, so my cat's still at my parents' house, and this makes me sad because I never want to go back there. And I also would have to pay $200 for a pet deposit, and also she's an outdoor cat, so being inside would not work for her. But her tongue was kind of soft. So she would always be licking my face. If I was on the computer, she'd be trying to lick my hand. She's like, oh, Hank, come back. I want to lick you. Or she'd I'd have to hide under my blanket when I'm trying to sleep because she'd be like, let me lick your face forever. Forever. That's exactly what would happen. So I'd be hiding, Isabel, leave me alone. I have this video that I found. Oh my gosh, can I hire to teach my cat to do that? Cat licks are the best. My cat is a very sweet cat. I was going to say things just now. What was I going to say?
Had a video.
Ah, there we go. Thank you. Right. So I had an old video that's unlisted on some account that YouTube was like, hey, we found this for you. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that account. I actually have several YouTube accounts from the past since like 2008. There was one where I was showing off clothes that I bought from a thrift shop to my friend. We had like a video blog where we talked together, to each other, I mean. I had really bad taste in clothes back then. But at some part in the video, I opened my door to tell my cat to shut up because she was being loud and meowing. And I was like, meow! And I was just like, shut up! And then I screamed because I'm like, ah! Because she had grabbed a whole fucking pigeon for me. So thanks. That's good. My cat was really nice. My cat was sweet. My Sea Lulu is an old one. That was my first YouTube account, but I have other ones, like various collab projects that eventually stopped happening, or like different ones that I'd have. Like I used to have a lot of videos on my Spanish-speaking channel, but yeah. My cat would bring me gifts all the time, like dead mice all the time. A little over time, but who cares? I want to keep talking. So my cat would bring me like little dead mice all the time, and I think she realized that in her mind my throne was my computer chair, so she would just drop them on my computer chair. But sometimes my room was so messy, like the whole floor was covered in stuff, that I didn't notice them until one day, at some point during the day I looked down and go, ooh! Because there'd be a dead mouse under my chair. It happens so often because, again, they're like indoor outdoor cats, so they sleep inside when they want to and come in for food, but they can also run around and play in the desert as much as they want. So there's a lot of mice that they catch because they're good at it. She would do that a lot, and also whenever I read the lists on like Tumblr or something about ways to know that your cat really likes you and trusts you, and I read all the things and she does all the things and I'm like, kitty, no, come back. Like stuff. My sister's cat, however, is not as sweet. He would bring in half dead mice and then go, and just leave them to run around the house. So eventually we'd find them. But there was one where we knew that there was a mouse somewhere in the house. That your sister wasn't an adequate cat. Yeah, he's like, alright, trying to teach my sister to kill. Yeah, I don't think she needs help with that. Her name's ironic. Yeah. So, things. So we knew there was a mouse in the house, but we couldn't find it. And it was starting to smell really terrible. Like, it was super stench. And we couldn't find it. We were kind of convinced it was somewhere in the kitchen. We kept looking under the fridge, behind the fridge. We couldn't find it. But it's getting worse and worse, where it's filling the whole house with this, like, disgusting, dead, rotten stench. And, like, you couldn't even, like, be in the house. It'd be, like, nauseating, and it was gross. But then, eventually, after, like, a week of this disgusting, horrible living situation, they realized that their mouse was in the fridge area, but it climbed up into the vent and had died right by the vent. And so it was, like, warm and, like, venting throughout the whole house. So it was, like, extra stench because it was cooking and venting at the same time. So that was disgusting. Almost as disgusting as the time my dad decided to bake Limburger, because that's horrifying. Yeah, that's not good. That's awful. Okay, so this brings us to the end of the slideshow. There's going to be another one sometime this month because I didn't do one last month. Some more person. So there's going to be two. So there'll be another one later in the thing. The next one will be at my house in California, though, because I'm leaving here Tuesday, which is sad. So everyone should be really nice to me, because how dare you? How dare you live here and not there? But he is going to move to California in like a month. So, fancy. Right. Okay. I am going to leave now. So you guys can keep talking amongst yourselves if you wish to. But I'm going to leave with my fancy hat and these glasses. So, right. So you can see myself. And then you can see myself seeing myself. That's right. Shh. Okay. Goodbye.